Hi, this is Kimberly. If you wish to skip the intro, it starts at approximately 5 minutes, 10 seconds. I'll link it in the description. Much love and peace. Welcome to part 2 of day 3, episode 6. I'm also calling this trial by episodes, so the trial of Cortney Bell and Chris McNabb can be watched in order. This way you won't miss anything concerning the methamphetamine smoking addicted biological parents of Caliyah Claire Noella McNabb. And to answer the question that so many have asked, yes, they really are first cousins. Pam Hamby is Cortney's mother, and Michael McNabb is Chris's father. Pam and Michael are brother and sister. Pam and Michael are also their children's significant others' aunt and uncle. Michael is Cortney's uncle and Pam is Chris's aunt. So Chris and Cortney claim to be married, even though they're not. They don't hide the fact that they aren't really married and stuff. It's just because, well, they're all in love and stuff. Some couples choose to enter into a domestic partnership rather than marriage. This is what they've done. They just haven't sealed the deal with that little thing called valid marriage license, which, by the way, requires a blood test for venereal diseases. And if they can pass that, they can join together in divine matrimony. They ain't got time for that shit. Therefore, they have gone the route of a non-traditional family domestic partnership. Georgia does not recognize common law marriage unless they've shacked up in another state that does recognize it. Then Georgia says, well, alright, but you can't claim being married on y'all's taxes. That's why they have the head of household thing. But as I was saying a moment ago before I did one of those going off on a tangent digression things, Pam Hamby is not only Chris's aunt, or as she says aunt, but his mother-in-law as well. In this domestic partnership, non-traditional, whatchamacallit. And it's also rumored on social media that Chris and Pam, were also a couple at one time and had an affair. This is before Chris and Cortney met. Also, Michael McNabb is not only Cortney's uncle, but her father-in-law as well, as I pointed out earlier. I'm getting all confused and shit, because they had to make one of those diagram family trees for the courtroom, because all these people are intermingled and related somehow. I will post links in the description of the testimony of Cortney's parents. It's riveting. Y'all have to watch as the mobile home wheels turn. I'm going to post links in the description of, yeah, it is Cortney's parents. Okay. God, see how confusing this is? Of Pam Hamby and Tim Bell. Here's a little preview of Pam's testimony that you will see. So the prosecution asked, is Cortney Bell one of your children? She said yes. Are you related to Chris McNabb? She said yes. Prosecution said, how are you related to him? I'm his aunt, she said. Prosecution asked, so is his father, Michael McNabb, your brother? Yes. Did you raise Cortney? No. Who raised her? Her grandparents and her dad. And then Cortney's attorney tried to ask her about an intimate and sexual affair that she had with Chris McNabb. And she just cut him right the fuck off. He tried to ask again and she did it again. She was like a stubborn child. So they ended there, but anyway, you have to see it. It's a little bit funny. Dear me, it's time for me to shut the fuck up. I'm rambling again. Please enjoy today's testimony, which features Chris McNabb being interviewed. Actually, it's more like he's just rambling and running his mouth and not able to stop talking. It was the day of Caliyah being reported as missing, so she's not been found yet when this interview is going on. I've had to break up day 3 into parts, and so there's going to be a part 3 and possibly a a part 4 of this day's testimony. And I do have subtitles because the interview that they show is really hard to hear. So let me know how I did with the subtitles, if it's difficult for y'all to keep up, and which one you like best, because I started with one thing and ended up with another, like 3 different things. Let me know which one you prefer. So, y'all stay tuned to this trial. There's a lot more fun and shenanigans coming. Much love and peace. Thank you for watching.
About to give in the matter now pending before this jury today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Can you please state your name, sir?
It's Jeff Alexander,
Where are you employed?
Newton County Sheriff's Office.
And what is your assignment at the Sheriff's Office?
Currently assigned to the Criminal Investigation Division as a member of the Major Felony Unit and Special Victims Unit.
Okay, and what does that mean?
I investigate major felonies such as homicides, robberies, aggravated assaults, and also sexual crimes against special victims, children, that kind of thing.
How many years have you had in law enforcement, years of experience?
Years of experience in law enforcement is about 34 right now.
Okay. Now, I'm going to draw your attention back to October of 2017. Were you in the Criminal Investigator Division at that time?
I was.
Were you on duty on that Saturday?
I was not.
Did you have the occasion to be notified that there was an investigation that was beginning or ongoing over at Eagle Point Mobile Home Park?
Yes, I received a text from Corporal Freeman, Investigator Freeman, stating that an infant had been kidnapped or missing, and he was asking for some assistance.
Did you respond to that location?
I did.
And was Corporal Freeman already there when you arrived?
He was.
Now, what was taking place on the scene when you arrived?
When I arrived, Corporal Freeman was kind of giving directions to other deputies as to searching the home and watching people. Our division commander, Captain Crum, was on scene at the time. It's my understanding that both Mr. McNabb and Miss Bell were sitting inside the residence by the time I had gotten there.
Did you have any contact with either of them?
Eventually I did, yes.
Can you describe where that was?
Sure. A little preliminary. Corporal Freeman and I spoke, and we determined that the case was more than likely going to become a major felony case. So we advised that we got together and decided that I would go ahead and take the lead on the case. I asked him where were the parents, and he told me they were inside. I walked inside the trailer through the front door. Mr. McNabb was sitting on a couch, and Miss Bell was kind of standing in the living room area.
Did you do a lot of questioning at that point in time with either of them?
I didn't do any at that point, no.
Did you make a decision to have the two of them interview about the events that they were reporting had occurred in the hours before they called 911?
I did. When I initially made entrance into the trailer, Mr. McNabb recognized me from previous experiences together. And the only question I asked them both was to take me to where they last saw the child.
And did you go back to where that was?
I did.
And can you describe where that was inside of the trailer?
Sure. It was the very back bedroom, the master bedroom. The sleeper was still against the wall at that point. It was basically just under the window unit air conditioning, in between the toddler bed and a stack of Rubbermaid totes and other things.
Did you photograph the sleeper there in
Yes.
the master bedroom?
I did.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 122 and 123. Do you recognize these exhibits?
I do.
And how do you recognize them?
These are copies of the photos that I took of the sleeper.
And do they fairly and accurately depict the location in Lot 31 where Mr. McNabb and Miss Bell indicated baby Caliyah was last seen alive?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'd offer State's Exhibit number 122 and 123 into evidence.
He's just submitted without objection.
May I publish, Judge?
You may.
All right, I'm showing you State's Exhibit number 122. And could you tell us what we're looking at in State's 122, sir?
Yes, this is just a photograph of where where Mr. McNabb told me the sleeper was located the last time that he saw Caliyah in the sleeper.
Now, it doesn't appear, as I zoom in on this exhibit, that the, I guess the covering is in the sleeper.
Right.
Has that been removed by the time you had arrived?
They had taken that and they were going to use that as the scent material for the tracking dog.
And what are these items that appear all here next to the sleeper?
It's just clothing, different articles of clothing, a couple of blankets I think were thrown in there.
These shoes and this person, I guess, who's standing there, who is that?
That's Mr. McNabb's foot.
And I'm again show you State's Exhibit number 123 this time and ask if you can identify what's depicted in Exhibit 123.
Right, it's basically the same photo just from a further vantage point away.
And again, is that Mr. McNabb depicted here in the photo, his hands and his, some of his clothing items?
It is.
Were Mr. McNabb and Ms. Bell separated as they were transported to the sheriff's office to be interviewed?
Yes, I had them both transported in different vehicles and put in different interview rooms.
Now, were you aware, you indicated earlier that the lining, it's been previously admitted as State's Exhibit number 63, that the lining had been removed out of that sleeper for the canine search, is that correct?
That's correct.
Where was this search taking place?
At that point, it's my understanding that the search had been taking place in the wooded area between the trailer park and Henderson Mill Road. The dog had started a track basically down that logging road, whatever, the power line road.
Were you made aware that Mr. McNabb had come from 36 after a period of time that investigators were there talking to Ms. Bell about her missing baby?
Yes.
Did you think it odd that Mr. McNabb left Lot 31 and went into the woods immediately to look for his child?
I thought it very odd, yes.
Would the sheriff's office have focused a search with a number of deputies and canines in those woods between the trailer park and Henderson Mill had Mr. McNabb not gone through those woods himself?
We would not have, no.
As an investigator with 34 years of law enforcement experience, have you worked such a case where a child is kidnapped from a trailer and found in the woods nearby?
Actually, this is the first of this type that I've worked.
When you brought them to the sheriff's office, first of all, who brought them to the sheriff's office?
I believe Deputy James transported Miss Bell, and I think Corporal Walden transported Mr. McNabb.
And where were they placed at the sheriff's office?
In two separate interview rooms.
Did you interview each of the defendants?
I did.
At this point in time, were they in custody?
No,
Were they under arrest?
they were not.
Was it important to get information from the two people who had last seen baby Caliyah?
It was extremely important to get that information as quickly as we could, yes.
Did you need to get information to establish a timeline as to where each of the parents were, where the little toddler Clarissa was, and where baby Caliyah was on the evening hours of October 6th into the morning hours of October the 7th?
Yes, that would have been the utmost important thing to get at that point.
Did you, nonetheless, even though the defendants were not in custody, did you advise them of their Miranda rights?
I did.
And did you use a form in order to do that?
I did. We have a generic Miranda rights waiver form that we always use at the sheriff's office. It's got our logo and everything on it. It's the same form that we use every time.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 1, which has been previously admitted in a prior hearing into evidence. Can you show me, or tell me if you recognize State's 1?
I do.
What is that?
It is a Miranda rights waiver form that we used with Mr. McNabb on the 7th of October.
And what time do you have listed there?
I have 13:20 hours, which is 1:20 in the afternoon.
Okay. And can you advise the members of the jury of what you advised Mr. McNabb in terms of what his rights were on that date?
Sure. The way I do it is I turn the form over to the defendant or the suspect or the subject that I'm interviewing, and I kind of read it upside down. I've done it so many times. It says, number one, it says, I understand I have the following rights. Number one, it says I have the right to remain silent, and then I stop and ask, do you understand that? And if they say yes, I just have them initial in a box beside it. Number two, anything I say can and will be used against me in court. Say the same thing, do you understand that? Initial, I have the right to talk with an attorney and have that person present while I'm being questioned. Again, initial. If I cannot afford to hire an attorney, one would be appointed by the courts to represent me before questioning. Same thing with the initials. And I can exercise my rights at any time and not answer any questions or make any statements. Those are the rights that we always read whoever we're questioning.
Okay. And did Mr. McNabb acknowledge all those rights with his initials?
He did.
Did Mr. McNabb sign the form indicating that he understood those rights and wished to speak with you about his missing daughter?
He did.
Your Honor, I know it's been previously admitted in a hearing, but I would tender State's Exhibit 1 again for the purposes of this trial.
No objection. No objection.
Submitted without objection.
Is the interview that you conducted with Mr. McNabb after he signed this form, was that something that was recorded?
It was.
And how is it recorded?
Both audio and video recording. We have an audio and video recording system in the sheriff's office. And I also always try to interview suspects or subjects or anybody with my pocket recorder also.
And did Mr. McNabb speak to you in that interview room for a period of time?
He did.
And after that recording was made, was it transcribed?
Yes, it was.
And you had the opportunity to listen to that recording of his interview?
I have.
And is that a fair and accurate recording of the interview that you conducted with Mr. Alexander on the 7th day of October of 2017?
With Mr. McNabb, yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd offer State's Exhibit number 78 into evidence.
Submitted without objection.
May I publish it, Judge?
You may. What number was it again?
That's 78. And I've got a copy, which would be 79, to tender for the record. May I approach the bench,
You
Judge?
may. Again, these instructions I gave you earlier about not reading ahead of time, you can pass them out. When you get these, because it's important what you hear, not what you're reading, so please don't read ahead and concentrate on viewing the video. I want to further charge you as follows. Any out-of-court statement made by one of the defendants on trial in this case after the alleged criminal act has ended may be considered only against the person who made the statement, and only if you find that such statement was freely and voluntarily made. If you find that an out-of-court statement was made to the police freely and voluntarily by a defendant on trial in this case, then you ought to consider the statement only as against the particular defendant who made it. Is that clear to everybody? Yes. Let the record reflect they all assented. Now, you may proceed, Ms. Zahn.
I'm going to publish it, Judge.
Just to let you know this for me, please. You want a cup of water or anything? Okay, thank you.
Investigator Alexander, who is that in the room already sitting with Mr. McNabb?
Yeah, that's Investigator Letecia Henderson. At this point, she had just been transferred to CID, and she was basically being trained.
And CID again stands for?
Criminal Investigations Division, yes.
All right. Chris, you know my name's Jeff Alexander. I introduced myself to you at the trailer in the past, right? Say your name for me.
T-O-P-H-E-R.
Is your name?
Michael.
It's M-C-N-A-B-E?
Yes, sir.
Where's your birthday? Y'all at the lot, what's that lot number out there?
I don't think, what's that? I really ain't sure, but the number that we didn't have, she dropped the phone at Walmart the other day, and it broke, so she got a boost phone from her name, and I had never.
What's her name?
Cortney Bill. It's P-O-O.
Her birthday is?
3/29/93.
And how long have y'all been together?
2013. Well, we broke up since 2014.
All right, we're gonna do some formality stuff, just like we see on TV, and I gotta do this, not that we're being charged with anything, we just gotta get information from you. Today is October the 7th, 2017, and it is 1:20. Is that right? Number 3 says I have the right to talk with an attorney and have that person present while I'm being questioned. You understand that? Number 4 says if I can afford to hire an attorney, one will be hired by one will be appointed by the courts to represent me before any questions. You understand that? All right. And number 5 says I can exercise my rights at any time and not make any statement to answer any questions. Do you understand that? And read that bottom line to me.
Having these rights of mine, I wish to speak with law enforcement. I have not been promised anything, nor have I been threatened, coerced, or forced in any way to make this statement.
You understand what all that means?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You feel like talking with us this afternoon?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you print your name in that first box there and then sign right over here. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And what's her name?
Caliyah Claire Noel McNabb.
Spell it for me.
DALIYAHBLANOELLAH.
Okay. What was her birthday?
9/23/17.
So she is right at 15 days old, right? Okay. I want you to take me through, Christopher, the last 24 hours of your life, so we can kind of get what's going on.
Yesterday, when we woke up yesterday, we didn't have our kid.
Okay. Where were they at?
I think it was Tuesday. Tim Bell, Jack Bell, and Barbara Bell came.
And who were they?
They're my girls' dad, grandpa, and grandma. Well, I was at a buddy's house,
Mm-hmm.
and my old lady took my kids to her cousin.
Okay.
Okay, and I think it was like 11 o'clock that night. And the next day, I mean, this is just what I've been told. I don't know for a fact exactly what went down, but
Well, how about this? Tell me what you know.
they showed up at my girlfriend's cousin.
Okay. And your
And
girlfriend
made him
is
give the
Courtney.
kids up.
From the Courtney, you
Yes,
said
sir.
girlfriend.
Her
Okay.
fiance, we claim to be married
Okay.
because we love each other. But
Mhm.
they showed up at her cousin's house, Megan, the big girl with blonde hair that was under the pink shirt.
Yep.
They showed up at her house and pretty much, I mean, they took the kid. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And, I mean, she got in the car with them or whatever, but they did not have our permission to get those kids.
Okay.
Okay, so, when they done that, me and my baby's mother were at the house in Eagle Point, Pine Valley, I call it Pine Valley.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, their side of the part where her cousin lives is right across the street, whatever that's called.
High Point or whatever it's called.
Whatever, I don't know what it's called, but anyway, that's where they were at, the kids, with her cousin.
Mm.
Okay, well, when they got the kid, they came across the street. They had an extra key to the car that I paid $600 in insurance on, with the understanding that it was going to be Cortney's car. And it was Cortney's car, so we had the car for like 3 months or better.
Okay.
Okay, so I paid for 6 months insurance, $600. I gave it to them cash within like a 2-week period or something like that. Well, anyway, when they got the kid, they come directly over there, and me and my lady were in the house. See, I know them people don't like me. And every time I see them, they put their hands on me, and I have never, ever put my hands back on the people.
Okay.
Okay, so on the back door, I didn't want to have no deals with it. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know they had already got my kid.
Okay.
Well, they had an extra key to the car. So one of them gets in the car and pulls off in it. Well, they were in the other car, as I was walking up the hill going towards the apartments next to Pine Valley, her grandpa comes up behind me. And he's arguing and fussing and everything, and he's hollering at me. And I'm like, look, dude, you just took that car, you owe me $600. Because I paid $600 in the insurance on that car. If you're taking it, then you owe me money. You know what I mean? Well, we fussed for a minute or whatever. Well, I was already on the way to go up to the Melissa Davis lady's house, or apartment, to go to Walmart. Well, we didn't end up going to Walmart. My baby's mother seen my 2-year-old, Clarissa. She seen her head pop up in the car. So she went over there and got my baby out of the car, the older one. Well, I don't know if they had the baby in there with them or what was going on. She got Clarissa, but she didn't get Caliyah. So anyway, it was a bunch of hollering and fussing. I got in the car with Melissa, and then my baby's mother and my 2-year-old got in the car with me to that too. Well, we went to Woodlawn Road, which we let, the officers know today or whatever. And
What's the Woodlawn Road?
that's a friend of mine named Chris that stays out there. I'm not sure what his last name is,
Okay.
but I think it's Marcus. But anyway, we get out there, and I'm thinking that they gonna follow her, because Melissa was driving real fast, and she was like, the PT Cruiser's following her. You know what I mean? So when we get to Woodlawn, I'm not sure if they're following us or not. So as soon as we get there, there's somebody there that has a car. So I get in the car with them and just drive out. 'Cause I don't want no problems with people. These people put their hands on me every time they see me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So actually the old guy hit me with a stick probably a month ago through the window of my car. And probably 2-3 weeks before that, his son pushed me. And it's always on their property. So naturally I'm not gonna do nothing anyway. It's their property. So I mean, anyway, I'm not sure what all happened in between them, but my youngest daughter, Caliyah, is the one that's missing. She had a doctor's appointment, her first doctor's appointment or whatever, and I think it was, what's today? I think it was Thursday. She took her to the doctor. Well, they told her then that they would if we would clean our house up, and if our house was clean when they got there, they'd give us a gift. But they came yesterday morning, the house was clean, so they gave us the baby back. Well, everything was good. All it was just loving on the babies, because I just missed them so much. Especially Clarissa, because she's been around longer, and I've got so attached to it. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I'm just loving my babies. You know what I mean? Just loving my kids. And I mean, all it really was just regular family living all day. You know what I mean? They went to bed that night.
Time they were there?
Clarissa usually goes to bed at 8, so it was anywhere from 8 to 9 when she went to bed. Caliyah, she sleeps all the time, so it's not really a bedtime for her. I get it, you know, we'll take turns feeding her or whatnot. Well, I mean, we're always up and down all night, you know. Might get 30 minutes here, an hour there. You know, I have a newborn and I'm sitting back here. So, the very last time that I actually held my baby in my arms, the one that's missing, Caliyah, I was feeding her bottle on the bed in the bedroom.
What's wrong with that?
See, that's the part. I mean, I was thinking it was 3:30, but my baby's mother says it might have been probably around like 5 or something like that. I wasn't really paying attention to the time. Anyway, it was early in the morning. She ate almost like half a bottle. Drank almost half a bottle. And, she was good. I mean, she was crying, you know how everyone's always crying, especially when they're hungry. But I bundled her up, like what was it, tied the lug in her rug or something like that. Well, I bundled her up and I put her in the thing in front of the air conditioner about 7. And she was good. She went to sleep. Clarissa was in that bed next to her, and she was asleep too. So I go back in the living room, and me and my baby's mom went to sleep on the couch. Well, at about, I guess, I didn't know what time it was, but I'm going to say what time it was because I asked my baby's mother what time she moved on the phone. My dad texted at supposedly 9:30 and it woke me up. So,
Where was your phone?
it was her phone.
Where was it?
It was sitting on the table right in front of us on the coffee table. So I heard it go off. So I looked at it and it's a text from my dad. And supposedly he's in Tennessee. So he's like, y'all up? And I was like, yeah. I said, yeah, because I mean, he woke me up on the phone. So anyway, he was like, I'm about to go to the store in a little while and send you some money. Because my rent was due yesterday, but the landlord was like, pay it today, and I work for my dad. So, you know, he helps me out whenever if I don't have a good week or whatever, which I haven't worked none this week. But, with all that's going on with the kids and stuff. But I said, okay, thanks, Pop. And I got up, I walked back there to the room, everything was good. The baby was in the little bed, Clarissa was in her bed, everything was good. Nothing was out of place, nothing was missing, the baby was still there. I went back in the living room, me and my baby's mom, well, my baby's mom was still asleep at that time, so I went back to sleep. Well, the next thing I know, my little girl Clarissa comes in the living room, and she's like crying, but not like, not like super crying, you know what I mean? Just whining. And I woke up to that, and my baby's mom asked her, what's wrong, baby, what's wrong? And she was acting funny. She kept like backing up behind the couch. Like she would get like, you know how the couch was sitting? All right, well, when you come down the hallway, you come to the side of the couch. So she kept backing up to the side of the couch, like in the corner of the wall of the couch. Like she was trying to hide or something. So my baby's mom was like, go back there and check on Caliyah. So I got up, and as soon as I got halfway down the hallway, I seen that in the video. There wasn't anything. I went on ahead and went in there to make sure. Well, the first thing I noticed was that she wasn't there. So I was like, oh my God, I started freaking out. You know what I mean? I'm thinking that my little girl's gonna pick her up. She got a bad habit of picking her up and trying to carry her around. Me and my baby's mom both had to take her from several times every day. So, I tell my baby, I holler in there, I'm like, she's not in here, baby, she's not in here. And, so I started tearing the house up, like looking for her. And my baby's mom was doing the same thing, calling her name, and we didn't hear no crying. When I didn't hear no crying, pretty much figured, I mean, if the baby was in the house, surely, if my 2-year-old would have picked her up, put her somewhere, she'd probably be crying, she wouldn't be comfortable. Didn't hear no crying, so I'm still like going through everything, you know what I mean? And she just wasn't there. And so I went out the back door, and that's how I knew the back door was unlocked, because I didn't have to unlock it when I went out of it. I was in my underwear. I walked all the way around the trailer looking up under the trailer, trying to see anything. You know, maybe something she might have dropped, maybe something whoever might have dropped. I didn't know what I was doing. I was panicking, but I was looking for my kid. So I don't see my kids, so I go back in, and we're freaking out. And she calls her papa. And the first thing her papa said, well, where's that damn boy at? And I was already crying, and I was trying to keep it together. And I was like, she started cussing me out, like, what the fuck, why is that your first question? What about, it's about the baby, not about him. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm like, what the hell did he just say? And she's like, he wants to know where you were at. And I was like, I kind of yelled at, because I knew what he was thinking. Because everything bad that happened is my fault. Everything. It don't matter what it is. If I'm not even around, if I'm 3,000 miles away, it's always my fault. So, I'm still crying and I'm angry. Well, she calls her Aunt Kim. Sometime in between all that, she called the lady Melissa, and Melissa walked down there and helped us look in the house and whatever else, you know, whatever she did. I don't know if she called anybody or what, but I just didn't see my kid there. My kid was nowhere to be found. So I put my clothes on. That's when I noticed that the tote that was on the top of the other tote over there by the place where my baby sleeps was on the bed. Like it had been, like somebody had moved it. But I didn't think nothing of it at the time. I was just thinking about trying to find my kid. You know what I mean? I ruffled through it just to make sure that he wasn't in there. You know what I mean? So I put my clothes on, and I was pacing back and forth, just looking around, going through stuff, opening up the stove, the refrigerator, everything. So I told my baby's mama, I'm like, baby, I gotta go look for her. I gotta do something. You know what I mean? I gotta look for something. I can't stand here and stay in this house where I know she's not at, because I done looked, she's not here. So I go out. At first I didn't know which way I was gonna go, but I figured, you know, maybe if somebody would have got her walking, they would have went through the woods.
Okay.
I mean, anybody, if they're doing something wrong, and they're on foot, they're gonna go through the woods, right or wrong. I mean, to me, I feel like that's what's going on.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've walked through those woods a bunch of times to get to Henderson Mill Road, so I'm looking just to see if anything's on the ground or whatever, you know what I mean? And I took my flashlight, I took the phone, that was the only two things I had on me. So, I walked through the woods, and I go straight through the woods, the very first cut. I walked all the way through. The only thing I seen in the woods was a pair of men's brown shoes. I mean, I ain't gonna say I didn't think nothing of it, but I was like, why would somebody leave their shoes? If that had anything to do with it, why would they leave their shoes? So I just stepped over them and kept going, and I was shining my light on both sides, which it was light outside, but a flashlight still helps to see stuff, you know what I mean? So anyway, I come out of Henderson Mill Road and I take a right, and there's a girl that lives down probably about a quarter of a mile named Sarah. I wasn't necessarily going to her house, but I walked that way. And when I came to her house, I stood in her driveway for a minute, and about that time, my baby's mother texted me and said, look, the police are here. You know what I mean? They want to know where you are. So I was like, okay, I'm coming. You know what I mean? So I started walking. Well, I didn't go back through the woods. I wanted to go a little bit farther up that way and cut through. So I went farther up, and I'm still looking the whole time, walking fast as hell. And I cut through the church. I didn't see nothing. I cut through the church. I came out of the top of the church on 36, and I took a left, and I kept going. You know what I mean? And I came to Pine Valley, and I went in, and I walked down the street, and her dad, my girl's dad, was standing there talking to the officer through the door. And when he seen me, he told the officer, well, that's the one you need to be talking to right there. That's the one you're looking for. So I didn't say that. You know, it made me mad, but I didn't say that. I mean, so the officer walked up on me, and he was talking to me, asking me what was going on, and then the next thing I know, I got 3 police in front of me, asking me questions, which is natural. I mean, I understand. So I tell them what's going on. I mean, there was parts at that time that I didn't remember, like the part about my dad texting. I didn't think about all that, you know what I mean? Well, anyway, I ended up telling them, like, as I remembered, I told them. They ended up letting me go in the house, and me and my baby's mother was just in there. I don't know how to put it. he was exhibited no more.
Why is that?
It's my baby. And she's gone. And I don't know where she's been at, if I ever see her again. But I know I gotta keep my head up because of my 2-year-old. I got to. I can't fall to pieces and I can't. Anyway, a whole bunch of back and forth talking with different officers and everything, and I mean, I showed a couple of people where she slept, and I mean, that's about it, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't really know what else to say. That's all that happened.
Okay. Let me ask you this, is your dad in Tennessee?
I never heard from his mouth that he was on the way to Tennessee yesterday.
Okay.
My baby's mother talked to him, and I recall him saying something about being stuck in traffic for like 3 hours, but I assumed he was coming home from work. I didn't know. Well, she said he said that he was on the way to Tennessee, and then this morning after all this happened, she called my stepmom to let her know what was going on, and she said my stepmom told her that my dad was there with her. I don't know if she actually talked to him or what. I mean,
What kind of vehicle do you drive?
he drives a, I'm not sure if it's a Chevy or a GMC. Either way, it's a 3500, I think, the Doom. It's white. But the distinguishing characteristic of the truck, because I've done been told he's supposed to have been spotted. I don't believe it. I don't think my dad's anywhere down here. If he's supposed to be in Tennessee, it's what he said that he's there.
Okay.
Okay? My dad took care of me my whole life. He's been the only one that's ever done it. That man never raised a hand at me in a hurtful way, in a mean way. That man never did anything wrong to me. You know? So,
What's the characteristic?
the characteristic of the truck is the right back fender, where it humps over the wheel. It's got white tape going along where the fender was to keep it from getting worse. You know what I mean? I mean, it looks rigged. You know what I'm saying? So if you see a truck that looks like it, that's the only thing that I can tell you to distinguish it from any other truck that may look like it. Because when I was cutting
a ladder rack or anything?
no sir, it does not. It has a trailer. We pull a trailer for work, like a 24, 27 foot trailer.
And what kind of work do you
Gas line.
do? Natural gas, not truck?
Well, it's just a pipe. We don't have anything to do with the actual gas. I cut and thread the black iron, and he installed it in the house, like new residential houses and stuff. Now, I will say, I did see a truck. When I was cutting through the woods, I seen a truck that looked like his. You know, I just noticed it. I don't know why. I guess I always done trucks that look like his anyway. But the only thing is that it had an extension ladder on the back, like coming up out of the bed. But it had to be ringing on tailgate. That's another thing. That truck don't have a tailgate. There's no tailgate on the truck. He took that off like last year because it was messed up. You know, it didn't really shut.
What's his name?
Michael McNabb. Michael Anthony McNabb. I can pretty much guarantee you that if anybody thinks they spotted my dad, they're wrong.
Okay. And that's fine, I just,
My dad was,
probably don't have anything to do with anything,
one of the officers, mentioned that he was spotted down here. I'm pretty sure it wasn't
but
him.
did he take your job?
I mean, I don't know. When my stepmom called my girl, I didn't even hear the conversation. She told me about it afterwards, but supposedly my stepmom asked her, can she get the baby for a month or 2 or 3? Because she knows that Clarissa goes in there and picks her up and, she don't want nothing bad to happen to the baby. My girl told her, no, I want my baby. I'm keeping my baby.
Okay.
And when she told me the story, I'm like, that's right, you did the right thing. I'm not giving my kid up to nobody. I work, I can take care of my kids, you know what I mean? I mean, I ain't got my eyes on every single second of every day. But I'm good at when she does pick her up like that. I always get her from her. She's never dropped her. She's never tossed her. Now, one time, like, I think the first day that they came back from the in-laws' house, she picked her up and she was upside down. When she picked her up, she held her upside down, and I grabbed her from her. And she didn't even start crying, because I grabbed her so quick and I swallowed her and I rocked her. And she didn't even start start crying. She was okay. You know what I mean? And, anyway, my stepmom was asking if she had my kid. I think her reason was to keep her safe from my 2-year-olds. I don't make no sense to me. I don't understand why you can go to the direct thought of, well, let me see if they'll let me have her for a few months. That's a newborn baby. You don't take a newborn from their mother. I mean, maybe the dad, that's different, but not the mom. That's a whole other ballgame. You don't take nobody from their mom. And the reason why I feel so strongly about that is I don't have a mom. My mom don't have nothing to do with me. So, my dad wouldn't do that. I don't think she would do that. I don't think they would, either one of them would come down here and take my kid in the middle of the night, or in the morning, or whatever. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't in the middle of the night. So I seen them left at 9:30 when my dad said everything was good. So no, I don't think that either one of them came to my kid.
Okay. Where do they live?
My dad has a place in Deer Lodge, Tennessee. That's where my stepmom lives.
Okay.
My dad lives there too, but we're bringing it in a camper.
Okay.
Because of the work we do, it's not up there, it's down here. So he stays in the camper on Bear Creek Marina.
You know, phone number to that?
Yes, sir.
What's that?
772-324-7427.
I want my kid back, man. That's my child, man. I want my kid, man.